In his melancholy progress from God-forgetfulness to self-forgetting, man had lost his direction. He had grown indifferent to his destiny. Islam and the World, Chapter 1, Sheikh Abul Hasan Nadwi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. I hope you're all doing well, inshallah. Islam and the World was published in 1950 and is written by one of the greatest Muslim thinkers of the 20th century, Sheikh Abul Hasan Nadwi. The book aims to look at what the world gained from the rise of Islam and what it has lost from the decline of Islam and the rise of Western leadership. We will go through all of this chapter by chapter. Sheikh Abul Hasan Nadwi is a graduate from Darul Uloom Nadawatul Ulama and also attained a BA in Arabic literature. He has authored over 50 books, and Islam and the World is one of his most famous works. The book has 8 chapters, and so far we have covered the first 4 books in our written summaries. Inshallah, before moving on to the next chapter, we will briefly recap the first 4 chapters. If you have not read the summaries, I highly suggest you do so, as they go much deeper into the book with quotes from the author and critical evaluations on some of the ideas he presents. The first chapter of the book looks at the state of the pre-Islamic world. The Byzantine Empire dominated in the west and much of North Africa, whilst the Sassanid Persian Empire ruled in the east. Other smaller states and empires also existed, but did not possess the global power of the Byzantines and Persians. There were many problems in the pre-Islamic world, and from the ones the author mentions, 3 stand out as the most significant. The first of these was the moral depravity of the pre-Islamic world. All parts of the world had lost their morality, with things like adultery, fornication, gambling, and drinking being very common. The Persians were the worst in this due to the public nature in which they committed these vile acts. There was no religion to offer guidance and a way out, and a way out of this for the people. The second problem was the exploitative economic systems. The rulers sought to amass as much wealth as possible at the expense of those they ruled. They exploited the lands they ruled by introducing very high taxes. Absolute poverty was all too common amongst the lower classes, with little to no opportunity for them to climb up the social ladder. The rulers presented themselves with as much extravagance as possible. It's reported that Khosrow II's crown weighted up to 180 pounds of solid gold. Now the third problem was the lack of wise leadership. Rulers did not seek to improve the lives of those they ruled, but as mentioned before, only sought to amass wealth and build a luxurious life for themselves. Although many of the rulers are remembered as good military leaders, little to none are remembered as wise administrators or statesmen. So we can see just how dark the world was. Constant wars and conflict and utter moral decadence left humanity in a state of a seemingly terminal decline. No religion or polity possessed the power or resources to rescue humanity, and Islam was the only hope for mankind. The second chapter of the book looks at the advent and mission of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now before we look at the actual mission, the first point to understand is that the mission of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was no ordinary mission that could be done by any ordinary person. With so many defects in society, an ordinary reformer could not have hoped to fix all these. With divine guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was able to fix all these issues. The mission began with the most important task, shaking the roots of disbelief. By untying the Gordian knot of disbelief, it was easy to unfasten the other knots that bound them. By submitting their will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it was easy for the companions to give up other bad practices when called upon to do so. Many characteristics that we look for in a model human being were instilled in them, such as fear of God, social responsibility, detachment from the material, a civic conscience, and more. Love was also redefined, and now also depended on the beauty of the inward character as much, or maybe even more so, than the outward physical body. These changes fixed many of the problems that existed in society. The detachment from the material solved the issue of people competing for worldly gains. The fear of God not only stopped immoral acts in public, but private too. The idea of a single humanity diminished all barriers of blood and race. Many more defects were fixed, and in the Arabian Peninsula, the perfect citizens were created. After 23 years of sitting at the blessed feet of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the companions were now ready to take the mission into their capable hands. And so in 632 CE, the noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam returned to his Lord.